While it's really, really cool to say that Powerhouse Women has grown into this thriving community, sold out events, a multiple six-figure company, I just want you all to know it definitely did not start out that way. Some of you were there in the early years, but as our community has grown, more and more I get asked to share a little bit more about what the journey looked like. So today I'm going to do that on this podcast. And I also am going to share how you can start monetizing your own purpose and your passions too. Welcome back. I have a PSA before we get started today, because I've been talking about it for weeks now. Today is the last day, if you're listening to this live, for early bird tickets for Powerhouse Women 2020. So don't say I didn't warn you. And of course, this isn't your last chance to attend, but if you know you're coming, if you know that you need to be in that room with us in September in Scottsdale, Arizona, then today's your last day to get your early bird ticket price. And all of the website where you find it is linked in the show notes, but you just go to powerhousewomen.co/event and you can read all about it there. We have some seriously cool surprises in store. We're going to be announcing them more and more as we lead up to the event. But let me just say, if anything in you has ever kind of nudged and said, gosh, okay, you need to be there, that event is for you, this is going to be the year to come. We are expecting over 700 women from around the world, and we've got some seriously cool things in store, including, I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast too much, but we are bringing back our Pajamas and Prosecco Friday night kickoff party. So this was something that we added last year for Powerhouse Women 2019, and it's probably my favorite thing that we've ever done, because if you are anything like me, the only way I'm going to go out of my house on a Friday night is if I get to be in pajamas. So I essentially created the event for myself and for people like me. So yes, it really is like an adult pajama party, and we have a beauty lounge. We do slumber party inspired snacks. We obviously have Prosecco. I mean, that would be kind of weird if we didn't. And just an opportunity to connect in a more dressed down way. So the other reason behind this, other than the fact that I am a homebody and like to be in pajamas at all times, is the fact that when you come to an event like this and you're in a room full of other like-minded women, sometimes it can be a little intimidating and it can feel a little tough to generate those conversations, especially if, everyone is dressed up and there's all these beautiful people around. I don't know about you, but I tend to get kind of intimidated in situations like that. So we wanted to create a more dressed down way for you all to connect with each other, for you to meet fellow attendees before the big day on Saturday. And so you have the opportunity. That's part of the Ultimate Powerhouse Experience ticket. So if you want to come, if you know that you need to be at the Pajama and Prosecco kickoff party and you want the full Powerhouse Women experience, then you're going to want to select that option. But either way, I just cannot wait to spend this day of inspiration and encouragement with you. We're going to be announcing speakers in the coming months, and my goodness, just what we have in store is truly, I know that I say this every year, but it really does get better and better every year. And yes, this is a totally biased opinion. So I can't wait to see you there. I'm super, super excited to spend this day with you. And today I'm actually going to throw it all the way back to the beginning. So you might hear that. Maybe you're just finding the podcast and you've been following along for a little while. Maybe you've never been to a Powerhouse Women event, but you've seen the videos and the photos and how fun it looks. And it's easy to see where things are at right now and have a little trouble imagining, gosh, where did all of this start? And as you guys know, I really listen to you. You inspire every single one of the podcast episodes that we do, whether it's a conversation with you, a social media comment. And this is something that I've been asked multiple times in the past month. So I always listen to that, okay, I guess maybe this is our community's way of saying, hey, do a podcast on this. So just this question of when Powerhouse Women started, how did it start? What did you like? Did you start monetizing it right away? Did you intend to monetize it? And I've shared like a little bit of the Powerhouse Women story before, but I'm actually going to share it in a specific way this time, which is more around this conversation of like, if you know that you want to start monetizing something you're passionate about, or you want to start stepping into your purpose and actually have that like be enough to live off of, right? Not just a passion project that you're doing for just for fun or because you want to give back, but actually create something that you can like create an income with. That I think it's important to share about these early steps because it looks different for everyone. And most of us are not typically starting out with the intention to build like these thriving, huge businesses when we initially get started. So I'm going to share just kind of like how this looked for me, and along the way, also be sharing about if you're listening to this and you're sitting there kind of with some ideas of maybe what you would want to do, but you can't quite see how that could ever become a business. I'm going to share just like how similar my journey has been to maybe where you're at right now so that you can see exactly what to do and how to start working toward being able to monetize your passions too. So when I actually think about how Powerhouse Women started, it started way before I ever wrote the book, Powerhouse Woman. It started way before we ever had an event or a podcast. In fact, I would say like the very early days of what has grown into the Powerhouse Women community were these little lunches that I used to host. You ready for this? I remember just feeling like I wanted to start connecting with women that I would meet, either maybe I'd met them at another event, or maybe it's people I even connected with on social media that I wanted to make like real life friendships with. And there wasn't really a place at that time to go and just mingle with, like-minded women. And I was part of a networking group, which was more for business. But then even that, it was like, well, some of my new friends were like nurses. They didn't need like business referrals for more sick people. So like nothing really existed. And so I always tell friends of mine who maybe they see now what we have here, what we've built in Phoenix or in other cities. They're like, gosh, you guys are just so lucky. Well, the truth is this didn't always exist. In fact, just a few years ago, we didn't have all of these events and all these women's groups. Sometimes if you look around and see that no one else is doing it, then guess what, sister? You're the one. If you haven't see the need and you're the one that wants to bring people together, it can literally start so small. So I used to put together these lunches. I literally just called it Ladies Who Lunch, like so silly and so cheesy. I remember someone one time reached out to me because there's an actual group, like a legit female entrepreneur group called Ladies Who Launch. And someone reached out thinking that that's what this was. And I was like, oh, no, we're just like some girlfriends that just want to get together and like talk about our big dreams. And yeah, she didn't end up coming to our group, but it was truly just out of this desire to bring women together. And I did that for about a year. I think I might have shared about this group before on a podcast about how like sometimes 3 women would come, sometimes 20. And then there was that one fateful time that no one showed up and I had lunch. It was a lady who lunches, not ladies, just a lady. And I felt bad because I already reserved the room. So I still had lunch like by myself, and you know what? It was fine. I didn't die. So way back when, I just knew and I saw the need to start bringing women together. Then, the opportunity to write a book came into my life. Now, it's interesting. I've shared this story before about deciding to write the book Powerhouse Woman, but I want to be clear. So when I say someone approached me about writing a book, it was not that someone came and said, you're amazing. Here's a couple $100,000. We want to pay you to write this book. No. I paid. Someone said, you should write a book and you should pay me a couple $1,000s in order to be in this program and publish it, and here's this basically template in order for you to get your message out in the world. But I paid money to do that. So even then, I still was not monetizing any of the things that people see today. But my friend Lori Harder always talks about this. Sometimes you just got to choose your own self. Like, instead of waiting for someone to come and say, you're amazing, I want you to create this business, or I want you to create this product for me, write this book. Sometimes you just need to say, I'm going to stop waiting to be chosen and just choose myself. So that's what I did. And I didn't get paid to do that. I actually paid a lot of money to publish it. And to this day, the book published, 3 years ago now, 3 years ago coming up in April. And to this day, I still don't think I've actually recovered my initial investment, because you actually don't earn a whole lot of money when you sell a book like on Amazon. So still now I'm about, back from if we take it Ladies Who Lunch to writing the book, which took a year, publishing it in 2017, still hadn't monetized anything, but I was doing a very, very important thing. And I want to just point this out right now so we can bring it back to you and where you might be in the journey. I was doing a really important thing, which is I was getting in with the people I wanted to make a difference for. So I knew that I had this passion to bring women together and encourage them around their big dreams. I didn't really know how. I just could see that, like, oh gosh, I think these women are also feeling like the desire to connect in person. Why don't I do that? I see that, like, maybe by sharing my story, I could really encourage a woman that may not live in Phoenix. So decided to write the book and put it out there. So I could always see the next one or two little steps that I could take. I couldn't see the whole vision, and we're going to talk about this at the end, but I could see the next one or two steps. So then the book inspired the Powerhouse Women event, which our very first one was in 2017. Still didn't make money on that. I actually ended up, I probably lost a little bit of money, but pretty much broke even, and never intended to make it an annual thing. But because I saw that the next little step to take was to create a live in-person conversation around the message of the book, Powerhouse Women, which was all about getting out of your own way, then we took that book and brought the message into a live event. And after that live event, again, I was never intending to make it an annual thing. Then women said, well, when's the next one? Right? So again, I was creating something that I saw a need for, and then getting feedback from the people that I wanted to impact about what they wanted next, which led to us taking the event to an annual thing. So this year we're planning our 4th annual Powerhouse Women event. It feels like 4,000 years, just to be clear. A lot has happened in 4 years, but this is year 4 of the event. And so many things in between have happened by doing these same things. I'm literally just going to repeat myself over and over so that you really see that this is how it comes together. So year 2 of the event, we decided to launch a membership community. We only had that for about a year because that turned out to not truly be the thing that would best support our community, which led to programs like Event Love, our mentorship and mastermind. And we really just continued to create and evolve with our community. So we started by just taking those first couple steps that we could see, getting feedback, pivoting when necessary, and continuing to obsess over learning how we could support the women who resonated with what we were doing. So if you had told me 3 years ago, starting out, that it would now have grown into this event where we're planning for 700 women and a multiple 6-figure business, international events. I'm trying to even remember half the cool stuff that has happened along the way. Here's the thing I want you to know. If someone would have showed me that full picture back at the beginning, it would have been too big because I was not yet the woman who could handle it. So if you'd shown it to me, probably would have freaked me out, and I may not have ever gotten started because it felt like too much, standing from the vantage point that I had in the very beginning. So I was always the girl that wanted to know steps 1 through 1,000 before I'd ever get started. And it wasn't until stepping into this journey that it really taught me we do only get to see the next 1 or 2 steps. And it's because the big picture might freak us out so much that we would never get started. So we really do have to know that if we take the first step and trust that the next one is going to be revealed when we're ready for it, if we obsess over learning about the people we are serving and what they want and need, again, it's all about them. It's all about who we're going to serve in the process, and know that that feedback is everything. And if we just are willing to take one step at a time and fulfill a need, you would be shocked by what can happen. Now, I love the quote that's like, we overestimate. That's my dog. He's just like chiming in on the subject. He gets very, very worked up. He's usually pretty quiet, but today he has a lot to say about this. And I think the quote goes like, we overestimate what can happen in 1 year, but we vastly underestimate what can happen in 5. I feel, you guys, like I am literally living that quote right now, where I was the girl that always wanted results faster. I wanted this to come together faster. And truly, if I look back to like the early origins of that Ladies Who Lunch, that was probably a good, 6-7 years ago now. And had someone shown that girl what I'm doing now, she would have been probably like under the covers crying in her cocoa because it seemed too big. It seemed like I could never, ever handle that kind of responsibility. But by taking one step after another and just taking the next step I could see, no matter how small, trusting that the rest of the journey would reveal itself, here we are, right? And I bet when I look back, and I can't wait to go back to this episode, maybe like 2 years from now, and be like, oh, honey, she had no idea what was coming. And I think the same is true for you. So I want to hear from you. If this is exactly what you needed to hear today, if you needed that reminder to start small, trust that the journey is unfolding at the perfect pace, you just need to focus on the next step you can see, I would love to hear from you. I always love to hear the episodes that are resonating most. So connect with us on Instagram if you're not already. The links are in the show notes. That's our favorite place to hang out right now. Not that we don't love our Facebook community and other platforms, but really like Instagram's just where it's at right now. So connect with us and let us know if you get your ticket to Powerhouse Women 2020. Let me know so I can celebrate you. Maybe that is your next small step. Just putting yourself in a room and pouring into that desire within you to monetize your passions and your purpose. And I can't think of a better place to do that. So until the next episode, just remember, you are not meant to do any of this alone. And I am always on the journey with you, taking one small step at a time.